Teachers of Reddit, what's the craziest thing a parent has said to you? Not me, but a friend of mine is a teacher, and she said that at a parent-teacher conference there was a grandma that came, and during their session the grandma blurts out, "She's a rape baby, you know. Nobody wants her, not even her mom. That's why I have to take care of her." Just really unnecessary and heartbreaking. She said the grandma was really callous and obviously didn't want to be there. I'm currently a 5th and 6th grade teacher. I had a student a few years ago who was a sweetheart, but would constantly miss school. She suffered from some sort of anxiety disorder. I had a real soft spot for her, so I did everything I could to help, which included allowing her to leave in the middle of class to call her mom when she felt anxious, allowing her to sit and eat lunch in my room, because the lunchroom was too loud and hectic, playing games with her at recess, because the other kids didn't want to, etc. I mean, I bent over backwards to help this girl. Well, that year this student missed 87 days of school, and that's not including the days she came in late or the days she left early. At the end of the year we had a meeting with her parents to tell her that she wouldn't be passing to the next grade because of all the time she missed. I did inform her parents of this many times throughout the year. Her mom proceeded to rip me apart for not teaching her daughter enough, not giving her enough work to keep her motivated, etc. She would not even think about the fact that, if you added up all the time she missed, it would be close to 100 days of school. I still to this day don't understand if she truly didn't get it, or was legit mentally ill, to think her daughter would be doing well while missing 3/4 of the year. I taught high school a while ago and had my own fair share of crazy, but my sister still teaches elementary at a school that has 98% free or reduced lunch. Aka super poor. Her stories take the cake, and this is one of the more tame ones. She had a kindergartner come in with a giant cut on his head, at least 4 to 5 inches. It was closed with staples, but she said they looked weird and the kid's head was oozing and looked horrible. She asked him what happened, and he said his brother, who my sister had previously had in class and said was verifiably messed up, hit him in the head with a cast iron pan. She then asked him if that was when he went to the doctor for the staples. He said no, mom did that. She called the office nurse, and then the mom, and yup, the mom actually stapled her 6-year-old's head closed with a regular stapler. When they asked her about it, she said, "Why the fuck would I waste money on a doctor when he gonna do the same shit I can do with a regular stapler?" Child Protective Services were called, and the boy did receive real medical attention. A few days before a parent-teacher conference, a pupil handed in a paper that was completely plagiarized. She had a very poor grasp of the language and the homework was extremely well written, in an adult style that obviously wasn't that of a teenager, so I immediately understood and found the original article online. It wasn't the first time she tried to pass off someone else's writings as her own, so I gave her a big fat 0, a F, if you will. On parent-teacher night, after a completely cordial 5-minute conversation between her mother, a very put-together, classy woman, and me about her results, how she could improve, the extra homework I could give her, etc. The mom tells me point blank, so, on the subject of that latest homework, why 0? She worked so hard on it. I start explaining that I can't accept plagiarism, that it's actually very serious and could potentially hurt her daughter's studies if she continued. Though she didn't plagiarize, and she worked so hard on it for several evenings. I'm sorry, but she did plagiarize. I found the original webpage with the same content, word for word, the same presentation, and even the same fonts. No, you don't get it. She just likes putting together lovely presentations. Besides, we did her homework together. No, really, that's not possible. Well, if you did check what she had done, she must have changed it afterwards, because what she gave me was this. And at that point, I showed her the printed webpage, a photocopy of her homework, and all the common points highlighted, i.e. most of the document was bright yellow. That's just waves hand, implying a coincidence, I suppose. No, I can assure you, we did that together. Well, we did use an online translator, but all the ideas were her own. Ma'am, that's not possible. It's word for word the same thing. Even the spelling mistake here is the same. No, This is her homework. I swear that we did it together. Well, now it's your choice. Gee, thanks. But we explained ourselves. But I think you don't believe us. So, you won't change her grade? I'm sorry, I won't. Pupil starts making a face. Well, that's unfair and disgusting. Oh yeah, pupil, you can cry, because this is downright shitty. Next time, you can cheat, since you'll get a bad grade anyway. I guess we'll leave it at that, then. She gets up and storms off in front of bemused colleagues and parents. That was 4 years ago, and I still can't fathom how an educated adult would lie to a teacher with so much nerve about something so trivial as high school homework. A simple apology and a new paper would have gotten much farther, and would actually have helped her daughter. And yes, the following papers were also partially plagiarized. She was waiting with one FFR student after school whose mother never came to get her. She needed to talk to the mother about the student in class. Not that the child was bad, but the child was having some other issues that needed to be addressed. It hit 5 PM. Mom still hadn't shown for daughter, no ICE number at the office, so the principal allowed her to walk with the kindergartner the 3 blocks home. Kid didn't know exactly where their house was. They looked up address. My sister said when they got to the house the door was open and the child said, "This is my house." My sister then said she heard what could only be the carnal calls of 2 adults in some hardcore coitus. She didn't want to just leave the child there. So she waited about 5 minutes, then loudly knocked on the door and called for the mother by last name. No answer, but a few minutes later a disheveled mother came out and saw her and greeted my sister by name, then looked at her 6-year-old child and shit, "Bitch, what the fuck you do now?" She said that to a goddamn 6-year-old child, who by all accounts was not a behavior issue at all, and a rather smart and quiet child according to my sister. As my sister interjected that she did not do anything, she was just left at school and she would like to talk to her about some things in class. She said she saw a half-dressed man come out of the back room. He walked up, looked at the 2 women, and then paid the mother a wad full of cash and walked away. Yup, mom was turning tricks. I'm a high school math teacher. About 12 years ago in February I gave my students, freshmen, an optional assignment where they could write a 2-page report on a historical black mathematician. I even gave them a list of about 45 to choose from. One kid turned his in, and it was clearly copied and pasted. His lone source was Yahoo, written in pen in the margins. The links from the web page he copied and pasted were even still underlined on his paper. I had already had a few mild run-ins with his mom, so before calling her I got a counselor to witness the call on speakerphone. I called his mom to explain the situation and to let her know that I would have to write him up for plagiarism. Her response, "Well, you didn't say in the directions he couldn't plagiarize." The counselor and I just stared at each other dumbfounded. The poor kid didn't stand a chance with a mom like that. 10-year-old boy whispers to a 7-year-old girl, "Suck my dick." I told the mother about the situation and was trying to come up with ways to handle it in the program with her involved. Her reply was, "It's not a big deal. He's just being a boy." That was one of 3 incidents for the day. The other 2 were telling a younger boy he wanted to kill his parents, and the other was when he punched a kid in the knee. My heart goes out to him, and I'm 100% sure it's his mother's influence. He's such a good kid with a great heart when he is away from mom for a period of time, but when he goes back with her he's completely different. He is now getting help, still struggling, but I can see a bit of a difference. He's also involved in sports now and has met a male coach that has single-handedly turned this kid completely around. To all youth coaches out there, you really do impact kids' lives more than you could ever imagine. Thank you. I called for a parent conference with the mother of a senior I had. He was acting out a lot and in real danger of not passing. I had met with mother on numerous other occasions. When mom showed up this time she was definitely pregnant. I noted her state and said, "Well, congratulations on the baby, when's it due?" Her response, "I don't know, but it better be quick, because her son/my senior student is 18 now, and I'm about to lose his benefit money. I can't lose that shit, so I figured I'd have another quick like." To my knowledge she already had 5. I'm not trying to make some crazy narrative here. There's no politics to this story, and I'm not trying to spark a debate. I only tell it because it hurt me to think that was why this child was coming into existence. and it put some shit in perspective for me with these kids. But hell, at least the mom showed up for a parent conference, which is better than most would do in a similar situation. That one really stuck with me though. We ended up getting him to graduate, but it was close. I didn't hear this, but it was repeated to me by a teacher I worked with when I was a student teacher in an 8th grade class. This one kid came from a fairly wealthy family with a father who was always off on business trips. He was a good kid, but would act up sometimes. The teacher, principal, and the kid's father had a meeting to discuss his behavior. In the middle of the meeting, the father says something along the lines of, "I just wished he had a father figure in his life." I later ran into the kid and his father at a fast food restaurant. The kid was super excited to see me. Father obviously didn't give a shit and barely looked up at me. I was teaching some girl who wasn't too intelligent. She was in bottom or lower sets for all her classes, and generally being a pain. There was potential, but she chose to be stupid constantly. At parents' evening I told them the situation and her mum said, "So is she smart enough to get into a top university?" Bearing in mind she was about 12 at the time anyway at this stage, so I've no idea. Her dad immediately shouts at the mum and says, "I told you not to ask that stupid question. How on earth would Mr. Radiotron know that?" They just ended up having this great big domestic argument in the middle of parents' evening, while I just sat there smiling politely behind my desk screaming internally. I fucking hated parents' evenings when I was a teacher. I had a parent take me through the principal, the superintendent, and the school board arguing that I should take this kid's late homework over a month after it was due, and saying that the fact that I wouldn't take it has turned him off to school entirely, and I'm the reason he was failing. He had a 1.5 GPA before my class. The homework would have taken him from a 65% to a 67%. That's only if he got a 100% on it, which he very obviously would not have gotten. He was a junior in high school at the time. Not something a parent said, but rather what they did. When I was in 5th grade, a parent came into our classroom while the teacher stepped out for a moment. I guess her daughter had been fighting with a girl in my class, so she starts screaming at her in front of all of us, then slaps the little girl in the face and walks out. We were all in shock and had no idea what to do at the time. The incident that led up to the ridiculous comment. 3 days into the school year, I'm standing in the doorway of my classroom during passing period, and a student on his way in turns in the doorway and dances his way through, very deliberately grinding his ass into my crotch. I reported it, and the parent demanded to meet with me and the principal. When I explained and even demonstrated what happened, she said, "He only touched you with his behind. You're making it sound terrible, like he touched you with his front parts. Hey idiot, no parts of your kid need to ever touch me. He was transferred." I had a mother come to me in May to contest the grade I gave her son on an in-class assignment from the October before. A high school senior who was gone was given the assignment to make up and chose not to. It took 2-hour-long meetings between me, her, the principal, and the counselor before she finally relented. At one point she told me it was my job to keep track of his grades for him and to track him down and force him to make up missing assignments so that he didn't get ruined. I teach year 3, so the kids are all 7 to 8. This is more something they did than they said. 3 days into the start of the school year, I had a parent arrange for her child to be collected by a friend. The mother then turned up at the school office demanding to know where her child was. I legitimately thought her daughter had been given to a pedophile/child murderer and that I'd be reading about her on the news, and it was all my fault. She kept this up for almost half an hour, then admitted she knew exactly where her daughter was, and this had been a test because she hates one of the child protection officers at my school. She'd even got her daughter to tell me the person collecting her was her mum, so I had no idea. My husband is a Spanish teacher and we have a very Spanish last name. He's the first gen born in the US. When he was student teaching at a relatively large city school, he had one student who just would not pay attention in class. She was failing, obviously, so the mother wrote him an email something akin to this. "Hello Mr. Asterisk asterisk asterisk, I see online that my daughter is failing Spanish class. I had a discussion with her and she explained to me that she is having trouble understanding you because your accent is so harsh. She cannot understand your instruction. to the reader. Keep in mind that she is talking about when he speaks to the class in English, as this is an 8th grade class and not done exclusively in the target language. I would like to talk to you after the open house on Tuesday. This would have been completely understandable. However, my husband's first language is English, and he has no accent. His father is a different story. So what does my husband do? He went to the open house, and when the group that contained that mom came in, he opened his speech in the harshest accent he could mimic. Partway into the speech he starts laughing and said just kidding, and kept rolling. The mother in question had the oh shit look on her face. She stayed after and apologized, saying my daughter had me under the impression that you were straight from Spain. I'm mortified. Needless to say, the daughter got in trouble when mom got home. Holy shit, this happened to me this morning. I'm a middle school orchestra director. Kids are playing a cool piece in a minor key that is called incantations. They've had it for weeks and we've already tested on it and everything. It is UIL season, so they are getting ready for contest. Parent emails me up today and then immediately calls me. He's a minister and gives me the definition of incantation, like I don't know what it means, and tells me I'm promoting witchcraft and demonic shit and all that. He tells me that I'm exposing the students to satanic beliefs and that he doesn't want his daughter to even hear the piece. He banned her from being in the room while we rehearse. I'm sympathetic on the phone, but I can't help but be completely bewildered.